All right, Yakuza fans, you've probably heard the buzz. New versions of Kiwami 1 and 2 are on their way for 2025. But, with all that excitement, there's also been a ton of confusion. So let's jump right in and break down exactly what is going on with these updates.
So what's the deal with these new versions? I mean, are they full-blown remasters? Are they just simple patches? Are they something else entirely? In this explainer, we're going to cut through all the noise and give you the real story on everything we know and, maybe more importantly, what we don't know based on what's been officially announced.
Okay, let's kick things off with the good stuff, the definite confirmed additions that Sega has told us are coming. These are the changes you can absolutely 100% expect to see when you fire up these new versions.
First up, and this is a huge win for fans around the world, both Kiwami and Kiwami 2 are getting a massive expansion in language support. We're talking text and subtitles for French, Italian, German, both Castilian and Latin American Spanish, Brazilian Portuguese, and Russian. And this applies to everything, the new-gen console versions and the PC release. Awesome stuff.
And this next one, oh man, for the longtime fans of the first Kiwami, this is a big one. We're talking about some music that honestly, a lot of us thought was lost forever to licensing issues.
That's right, Yakuza Kiwami 1 is getting its soundtrack fixed. See, the original Western release was missing a couple of absolutely iconic tracks, Receive You Reborn and Bleed. They're huge fan favorites. Well, the new 2025 version is adding them back in, making the soundtrack whole again. For the purists out there, this is fantastic news.
So, we've covered the exciting new bells and whistles, but now we've got to talk about the practical stuff. How does this all affect you if you already own the games? And trust me, this is where you really need to pay attention. This is it. This is the #1 question everybody's been asking. Can I just update the game I already have, or do I have to shell out and buy it all over again? Well, the answer, it's a little complicated. And this chart breaks it down perfectly. Here's the bottom line. Only people who own the old digital versions on PS4 or Xbox One can get a free or discounted upgrade. So if you've got a physical disc on your shelf, or if you play the games through PS Plus or Game Pass, I'm sorry to say you are not eligible for the upgrade.
And here we are. This is probably the single most critical piece of information you need to know. Your old save files will not work with these new versions. Let me say that again. Your saved games do not transfer. If you want to check out these updates, you are starting Kiryu's story from scratch, period. Okay, for all you PC players out there, here's the date to circle on your calendar. The update for the Steam versions, the one that adds the new languages and restores the music for Kiwami 1, is scheduled to roll out on December 11, 2025. Just a heads up, that date did get pushed back a little bit, but this is the official target for now.
All right, so we've covered the confirmed yeses and the really important nos. But now we get into the mystery box. This is where we have to talk about what these updates are not and manage our expectations a little.
So, before we dive in, let's talk about a changelog. What is it? Well, it's basically a detailed list of every little change in a software update, bug fixes, technical tweaks, all the nitty-gritty stuff. And for these new Kiwami versions, well, Sega hasn't really given us one.
Yeah, so since Sega hasn't released an official public changelog, it means we don't have a list of specific bug fixes, there are no detailed notes on performance improvements, no mention of any gameplay tweaks, and no word on graphical changes beyond just moving to a new platform. All that under-the-hood stuff is still a complete mystery.
And this really gets to the heart of it all. The official message from Sega is simple. The game's content is basically the same. These are not remasters packed with tons of changes. They're updated versions with very specific, targeted additions, the new languages, and for Kiwami 1, the restored music. That's the package.
So that's where things stand. The official story is pretty clear, but that lack of a changelog leaves us with one last, really fascinating question. What else is in there? What little fixes or subtle tweaks might be hiding under the surface that weren't big enough for a major announcement? The only way we're going to find out is when the community gets their hands on it and starts digging. So, the real question is, what are you going to find?